question from the floor.
Oh, thank you. Magandang tanghali po. Ako po si Maru Pahati Sarne mula sa DWIZ 882 AM and IZTV Channel 23. Ang itatanong ko lamang po sana is, how are you planning to work with the government regarding improving the healthcare in our country? Also, the PhilHealth has this consulta facility. Are you planning to apply as a consulta facility para po magkaroon ng libreng konsultasyon ang lahat ng mga miyembro po ng PhilHealth? Konsultasyon at saka laboratory test, and also sabi nila po ay libreng gamot din, mga piling gamot. Salamat po.
At one level, the President has been kind enough to introduce several new initiatives of discussing with stakeholders in the private sector. For example, we have a private sector advisory council for healthcare, in which Metro Pacific Health is an active participant. So one of the roles in which the PSAC does is to sit with the policymakers in the Department of Health with other segments of the regulatory environment to form policy, which will have far-reaching consequences both for the public sector and private sector. I think that is an important contribution from Metro Pacific Health. Number two, like our chairman has said, that in our provinces, wherever we have LGUs, we encourage our hospitals to partner with our LGUs in the barangays to make sure that areas where the LGU cannot really go and put up a new facility, let's say an outpatient care centers, our hospitals are at the forefront to put up infrastructure and also deploy human resources. So that is already there. In many of our provinces, our Metro Pacific network hospitals are very active in partnering with the LGUs. So that's the second part. Third part is our chairman has a vision that he mentioned very briefly in his comments that pharmaceutical industry, like overall, right, the cost of medicines really is very expensive in this country. So he had suggested, in fact, to Metro Pacific Health that if our supply chain professionals within our network can we lend our knowledge and expertise to the public sector to make their systems more efficient. So it's just one example of knowledge transfer from private to public. And of course, both ways work out. So these are some real case studies and examples of how we can actively collaborate with the government. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe just to add to that, no, I think simply continuing what we are doing right now, which is investing in hospitals and healthcare businesses all over the country and growing them. No? I think that alone we are already in a way helping the government because parang we can fill in whatever needs that perhaps the government may not have the resources to pursue aggressively. No? So I think that way we can help the government much faster as we are able to say invest in hospitals all over the country. Then each of these hospitals have their own sort of mandates to see how they can work hand in hand with the LGUs in those communities. For example, during the COVID times, no, our group was able to get vaccines, no, and at some point we had distributed vaccines to our hospitals with the instructions that our hospitals share that with the LGUs. So these are the types of things that we can do to help government. But admittedly, obviously, moving as a private in the private sector is usually faster. So yeah.
May I add also, if you are continuing with partnering with PhilHealth regarding healthcare, kasi alam niyo naman po, di ba, nagkaroon ng konting problema sa pagbabayad sa ilang mga ospital. Pero sabi naman po nila, pinabibilisan na nila ang pagbabayad. Are you still partnering with PhilHealth? Kahit po yung ibang mga ospital, parang they are having second thoughts about partnering with PhilHealth.
Yes, all hospitals in the Philippines, especially in the private sector, we all face challenges in receivables. But to be fair to PhilHealth, this was an outlier. It's an act of God. Nobody could have predicted that such a calamity would befall all of us. So it's understandable. But the good thing is that now we see some positive moments from PhilHealth. where at least the payments dues, which was quite bad last year, we see a big improvement in that part. And I think that one interesting aspect is that the willingness to listen to stakeholders in the private sector. So our partner hospitals in the provinces, they are talking to the PhilHealth representatives at the provinces. We are talking to the national leadership of PhilHealth. And I think genuinely we consider PhilHealth as a vital pillar in the healthcare industry, and we have an open mind to collaborate with them even in the future.
Yeah, well, maybe to add to that also, no, I think, part of the financial discipline that we instill in our hospitals, has made our hospitals very, very strong financially. All of our hospitals have very strong balance sheets. Most of our hospitals are debt-free, and therefore that is why, they can withstand the problems that we have had in the past 2 years. No? But having said that, as Dr. Harry said, PhilHealth has been, in our recent board meetings, our management teams have reported that they have had success in, better collections in terms of PhilHealth. No? But also, part of it is, again, if you have a well-oiled management team, for example, part of the reason why some of the payments of PhilHealth are not made is because the hospitals themselves are not compliant to the requirement, documentary requirements and all that. All our hospitals invest in people to be able to make sure that, the requirements are fulfilled. And because of that, then the payment comes in, no? Actually, Dr. Shirley Domingo, the state spokesperson of PhilHealth, is here with us. So maybe she might want to say something.
I think she was aiming to say something actually. As you were there. But at least, yes.
Thank you very much for asking me to speak. But I would like to introduce first other people that still help here. Our president, OIC president, Atty. Santos is here. And our operating officer, Wawa Macanes is also here. Let me try and answer. First of all, we have been talking continuously with our providers, the hospitals, and therefore there's, as of now at least, there's no more, nabawasan na yung sinasabi mong hospitals that want to separate from PhilHealth. So, because of our continuous dialogue with them. And then, there was also a question on privatization of PhilHealth. I would just like to say, as a Filipino citizen, that whether you will abolish PhilHealth, privatize PhilHealth, or whatever you want to do with PhilHealth, you have to retain the mechanism of prepayment. Because there were other hospitals that were saying, just pay the money to the hospitals. That's not prepayment. And if that happens, kung mawala yung prepayment scheme, then our kababayans na walang pera pang bayad, hindi sila makakabayad ng hospital. They cannot go to hospitals. Yun ang magiging problem natin. So whatever it is, whatever the government plans to do with PhilHealth, although for me, syempre, retain social health insurance, please maintain a prepayment scheme. If not, only those who can afford will be able to utilize our health services. So yun lang. Sir, I just wanted also to ask question. Actually, tinanong ko yun exactly. I was very happy to hear Sir Pangilinan to talk about primary health care because that's the way to go. And in fact, that's the emphasis of universal health care. So I know there are already specific plans of how this group, let's face it, FPH is a third-level hospital group of hospitals, and primary health care is preventive. So are there already like specific plans on your expansion to primary health care? And it's true, we have this Consulta program, which is the primary health care benefit of PhilHealth. We would, of course, love to partner with any provider. Right now, it's a primary care provider, no, our rural health units or clinics. However, we have issues about them joining into the program, and therefore we are also including hospitals that has the capability, they have the capability, who are interested in becoming providers of consulta. Thank you very much.
Well, I think it's fair to state that the notion of a private sector sponsored health insurance program is still work in progress. So it's, as you know, the devil is in the details. So, but I'd like to simply highlight the fact that this will be complementary to what the government is doing in terms of the social health program itself, represented by JHealth. We're not here to compete, but to complement and enhance the health insurance coverage for our people. The kind of model we're thinking of, I'm thinking of, is the telco model. Definitely, in terms of premium payments, it's got to be prepaid, but to sachet it in a way that makes the ordinary Filipino able to afford it. And number two is the premium must be within the reach of an average Filipino. So that's why the sachet concept is quite important. And this is where we need the help of technology. The telcos will have to get involved in this project, and I think with the government, at some point we have to have a conversation as to how we launch it, who should get covered in the like, and we need the cooperation of FIRA in order to be able to do it. We have a built-in base because I think what Audrey flashed on the screen earlier is that we have a base of 4 million patients every year. So we'd like to look at that as a base and then expand it later on to the lower income segments of our population. So, and of course, we have to work with insurance companies because we're not an insurance group. The private insurance companies, and of course, the second layer of that is the reinsurance, because I'm sure to lay off the risk. We think it could work because even if you cover, say, 10 million Filipinos and their families, there are about 25 million households. Not all of them get sick at the same time, right? So we just have to also consult the actuaries to determine, what is the incidence and the loss rates. No? I'm sure the insurance companies will have a view as to how these programs will get shaped eventually. So probably take a bit more time on our part to do it, and once we're ready, we should be able to sit down with you.
As far as the primary care center question is concerned, our DNA has always been M&A, mergers and acquisitions, right? So obviously one of the things we'd like to do is to see whether we can invest in more clinic chains all over the country, so we could add that to our network. But the other thing that we've recently done is we've actually encouraged all of our hospitals to build their own clinics, extension satellite clinics in their own geographies. No? And that is also related to the UHC because we are also encouraging all of our hospitals to be apex hospitals and lead the networks in their own geographies. No? So that's what we are doing with respect to expansion in primary care.